Hello and welcome. It's the highlights of the Insurance Conference 2018 here at Avani in Livingston. We're privileged to have here at the conference Financial Sector Deepening Zambia. And we have on set today the Head of Financial Services Supply, Mr. Lemmy Manje. Lemmy, good evening and welcome.
Thank you so much.
Right. Now let's get straight into it. We've been talking, you gave us a brilliant presentation during the conference. If you could summarize that for us in under a minute.
Okay. So the presentation was all about inclusivity and business growth, which is really the theme of the conference. So inclusivity is really trying to make sure that insurance is available for everyone. And then, of course, business growth is about viability. So my presentation was about can the two speak to each other? And if you look at most developing markets like Zambia, really the only growth sector is really the low-income market, and which remains untapped. So really some of the presentation is that to achieve business growth, you need to go down the market.
Right. Now, this is something that, as Financial Sector Deepening Zambia, you've been running very aggressively with the past years. What difference would it make if the scale of micro insurance was increased in the country?
So the impact is huge. I've been privileged to interact with the end users. Just a couple weeks ago, I was in Choma interacting with farmers who had insurance, and it was nice to get affirmation from them that actual insurance makes the whole difference. If they looked back, they actually had situations where when they had a drought or flood, that was the end. And we asked them to say, how prepared were you to say, well, we sell chickens, we sell goats if there's a drought and so on. But for the first time now, when they have insurance, they know that actually they'll receive a payout to survive. So really, you can talk about various risks like funerals. We all know how people struggle when there's a funeral. With insurance, you make a difference, especially at the low-end market. People who are in the middle and high income always have a means of survival. They can get money from their pockets, they can go to their banks and withdraw some savings. At the low end, those options are usually not there. People end up borrowing. So really, insurance is that which makes them actually stay out of poverty, but also sustain themselves once they're out of poverty.
When we talk about microinsurance, what kind of numbers and figures are we talking about vis-a-vis affordability and business sustainability and growth for the provider of the service?
So I think we've been looking at microinsurance from strictly from 2009. And in that year, we had less than 100,000 people covered, and mostly it was credit life. So they'll borrow loans from microfinance institutions, and then they'll have credit life and sometimes funeral cover. So really, microinsurance is just like insurance. It's a game of numbers. So for insurers to really be sustainable, they need scale. So we've seen a number of schemes which have gone all the way to 3 million. I think an example would be the Airtel product. And of course, I mean, it was shut down because the partnership couldn't work. But we've also seen products that have persisted. For instance, this year, through the FISI program, we had over 1 million farmers covered. And in terms of affordability, if you look at the product range that we have had, we've had premiums as low as 5 kwacha per month, to 10 kwacha, 20 kwacha, and maybe 60 kwacha for the whole family. Just recently, one of the insurers launched a product which covers hospital cash as well as funeral, and it only costs 110 kwacha for the entire family for the whole year. So really, it's those small premiums that provide, very good cover. And what I've realized for me, from my experience, when you go and interact with the end users, it's about ignorance. Most of them, they don't know. When you describe the product, they say, wow, it's that cheap. One lady told me that I can forgo paying for GoTV 1 month and cover my whole family, for the entire year.
Well, thank you very much for that very clear description. And as we talk about, as we come to the close of the interview, we talk about harnessing the potential that the insurance industry has. What is your key message to the sector players?
I think for me, it's about challenging themselves out of conventional thinking. For microinsurance, I've been privileged to interact in other markets. The CEOs, the professionals that are driving insurance, they're innovators. they think outside the box or even without the box. Because in most cases, I've seen that they would go for those channels that you never thought they would distribute insurance. Just in South Africa, they use PEP stores, they use ShopRite, they use churches, they use football clubs to distribute insurance, petrol stations. In our market, all those opportunities are still untapped. So really, for me, my message to the industry, it's viable. I just gave an example in my presentation of Pioneer Insurance. They are covering 18 million Filipinos with insurance, and they are rated not only as one of the best in Philippines, but also in the world. They were actually presented on international forums as the only insurer that actually came up with a mandate that for us, our client is the low-income market segment. So it's viable. I think it's just stepping out of their comfort zone and beginning to innovate.
Thank you very much, Lemmy.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Well, there we have it. Financial sector deepening Zambia. Lemmy Manje, hand printing and reaffirming the fact that it is viable, microinsurance, and thinking away from the box completely is how he puts it. And he says broaden the spectrum, and that is his key message to the insurance sector players for this year's Insurance Conference 2018. I'm Faith Chitulangoma. Thank you for watching.